All right.
Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name's Ben Steger. I'm here to answer your shooting questions. Producer Candice is in the house.
Cool intro here.
And from somewhere in the Pacific time zone, where do you live, Chris?
East Bay area, North California.
All right. So this is Chris Sechiatano, three-gun death stalker, two-time USPSA limited division multi-gun national champion. Did I nail that? That was right?
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. So that's pretty cool. So we need to get some three-gun street cred going on in here, and Chris volunteered to put his dick on the block. So thank you for volunteering, Chris.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, good. So very fittingly, now we have a three-gun shooter. We can talk about three-gun stuff. So on Caleb's site, on Gun Nuts, I will note that it's tagged as humor, but there's an article called "Three-Gun is the CrossFit of Shooting Sports." The general thrust of the article is that three-gun is sort of hokey nonsense that people who compete in it think that they're badasses. As an example, he writes a pro of three-gun is that there's major industry support. Reebok sponsors the CrossFit Games and in fact launched their own line of pure fitness gear. Last year their big marketing push was the sport of fitness. That's pretty awesome. And then as a con for three-gun, he says there's a high bar for entry. It's super expensive to compete in three-gun. You need, three different guns, holster, mags, all this bullshit, shell caddies. And he says, hey, it's just like CrossFit. So there's several pros and cons listed in the article, and it's like I said, it's in the humor section. But I think we can still talk about it. What did you think about it, Chris?
I was just skimming back over it, refresh my memory here, but yeah, it's pretty close. It is expensive. There is a lot of time involved. It is kind of a certain camaraderie. The group of people, I can go from California to Alabama to Georgia, Virginia, everywhere, and I see the same people over and over and over again. So small group of players, high bar of entry. I mean, it's pretty darn close to reality. So.
All right. So I'm not a three-gun shooter myself, of course, but when I think of three-gun, I think lots of running around, lots of hosing stuff, and lots of multicam.
You can probably scratch the multicam, but matches vary from club to club. So California matches a little more paper and long distance steel, a little more mid-range kind of hosing, a lot of 50-yard shooting with rifle, that type of stuff. Back east, where it rains a lot, you shoot a lot more steel with a shotgun and pistol. Depends if it's raining or not. They just pick up muddy targets and put them against the muddy, or the muddy steel targets and put them against the muddy berm, and now you're shooting muddy steel targets against the dirt and things like that. So, their rifle ranges go out to 300, 400, 500 yards, like Rocky Mountain. They make you shoot 600 yards at a gray target that's buried in the rocks on the mountain. Not really easy to see for pretty much anybody, I guess, especially if you're shooting limited with no magnification kind of thing.
All right, so this article, if I read this, it looks like Caleb's kind of taking a shit on three-gun. He points to the three-gun nation target. He says,
it's
look
hilarious.
At this big dumb target. They don't even score it.
Well, I don't even understand what three-gun nation is. Is three-gun nation three-gun and three-gun nation? I don't know. That's the whole thing. It's like there seems like there's a million things, just like CrossFit. It's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Every three-gun shooter every multi-gun shooter has been saying that for the last couple years now. There isn't really a unified set of rules for multi-gun. Back in the day, it was the IMG, it was the International Multi-Gun Rules, and it was before that was Soldier of Fortune. Soldier of Fortune went away, IMG came out, and it's been kind of the de facto standard until the Time Plus scoring came along from USPSA. Now, Three Gun Nation has kind of inserted themselves into the game, and in an attempt to be the next kind of USPSA and de facto multi-gun, organization, and at the same time trying to make a buck for himself.
So people generally, I mean, what I hear from people who shoot three gun is that they generally sort of like Three Gun Nation. I mean, like the core concept, like
Three Gun Nation,
putting three gun on TV, trying to have a unified set of rules. Like people kind of like the idea of that stuff, or is that wrong?
Sure, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, somebody needs to pick a rule set and stick with it. Like I said, the IMG rules have been around for the last 10 years or so now. The Mystery Mountain, Superstition Mystery Mountain match. That's been.
What's the difference in the rules? I mean, is it like IDPA versus USPSA, or is it like, I don't know.
It's mostly.
No idea.
Yeah, rules are mostly more equipment based, but scoring based as well. So, USPSA obviously it's a point based system. Well, the problem with that is that you're shooting a minor rifle, major pistol, and a major shotgun. So the scoring has been jacked up in USPSA, and it made it
Don't they have computers?
Difficult. Yeah, but back then the scoring system didn't actually account for. Okay, so you're shooting a major pistol and a minor rifle on a stage. How do you score that? There wasn't really a unified scoring system to say, okay, well I shot a bunch of C's and D's with my rifle and a bunch of A's with my pistol. How do I enter all these penalties for a minor gun when the scoring system doesn't do it? So they came up with a system to manually do it, and they would just add in a certain amount of penalties that you got from your minor scored gun. But then it became a scoring nightmare for the scoring person because they had to do all this math.
Okay, here's another question that I just want to throw this out there. I see guys oftentimes talking about like
from where I want to go with Three Gun Nation.
I'm sorry. I've got to make this. I've got to ask anyway. Guys in three gun talk about like simplicity of scoring a lot. Like
yeah.
It's really awesome that our scoring is really simple. And I'm thinking like, well, why the fuck do you have like 60 targets on one stage? Wouldn't it be simpler to not do that?
Yeah, nowadays it's time plus scoring. So 2 hits anywhere, 2 Ds that are split the perf, that target is considered good. It's not a penalty. And that's where the Three Gun Nation stuff comes in. It's basically it's multi-gun for TV. It's dumbed down to, you don't want to see people whiffing a bunch of shots at 400-yard targets and missing for 45 seconds kind of thing. Yeah.
Dude, Top Shot was fucking awesome. What are you talking about? It was awesome.
So they made it up close and fast, and it looks cool on TV. It's a John Woo kind of action flick. So then, but the stages, you can only kind of repeat the stuff for so long. So it's
yeah. How many different ways can they knock down like 8 poppers with a shotgun?
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly. And that's where the target comes in. It doesn't look like a person. It's just kind of a target that everybody's familiar with. It's a bullseye kind of target. So except it's
but it's roughly the size of a human's chest, right?
It's 18
still
inches.
Training to murder people. That's the point I want to make.
It's pretty big.
All right, good.
Yeah, good. The murder is still part of it. Good. That seems important. So scoring is simple in three gun now, is what we're asking.
Yeah, the time plus scoring makes it really simple.
I mean, it's simple to the point, Candice, that he used the term dumbed down.
I like that. That's
which
good.
Which implies that I'm not sure that you're on board with this, Chris. Am I picking that up or?
Well, I mean, dumbed down and yeah, Three Gun. Like I said, Three Gun Nation is TV three gun. It's not. You don't see people running. It's not a lot of huffing and puffing kind of stuff, and it's meant to be fast and furious. And if you take 2 steps in the wrong direction, you can't see a target, and that's the way it goes. And that's how that game is played. If you want to go run around in the woods and shoot multi-gun, Blue Ridge, that kind of thing, that guy makes you run 50, 60 yards and then pick up a rifle and start shooting it.
It sounds like it's highly match dependent.
Yeah. It's highly match dependent, yeah, Chris?
It's match dependent, match director dependent, region dependent.
All right, one more question about three gun. What gets you hard personally? You know, like what's gonna have you pitching a tent? Like what kind of match? What are you into?
I just like shooting. You know, I'm not. I'm kind of getting old. You know, in my 40s now, and I don't want to run anymore. So just shooting. You know, make it fast, make it decent stage, but make it so I don't have make it. I want to see all the targets. I shoot limited. You know, so I can't see in the first place. But just good, clean stages that flow and not really goofy stuff. That's really what I like.
What is goofy stuff in three-gun terms?
Gizmos, activators, just things that don't make a lot of sense. I mean, you see them in pistol shooting all the time, so everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we know what you're talking about. All right, so if you'd like to read Caleb taking a shit on three-gun, Candice is going to have that in the show notes. So you have it from our three-gun shooter here. Caleb is pretty much on the money. Bang on. Well done, Caleb. He shouldn't have put it in the humor section.
That sounds educational. Like it should have been an educational section.
Education section.
Well, I'm somewhat three-gun curious, so I was like, it sounds pretty much like what I thought it is.
I'll be honest, watching stuff like Three Gun Nation on TV, I look at that and I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in that sport.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's tough to get into. There's a lot of, people hesitate a lot trying to get in. I want to shoot three-gun, but I don't want to shoot against pros. And you hear that all the time.
No, I want to shoot against pros.
I want to shoot against the pros.
I just don't like that. Like when I saw rifle shooting in Norway, I was like, holy shit, this is like badass. It's highly technical. It's IPSC scoring.
Yeah.
So, it's very challenging. Like I looked at that, I'm like, fuck. If I lived in Norway, I'd be doing the rifle matches there. But
those guys have a serious. A couple of my friends go over there every year for that.
For the Nordic Rifle Championship. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
And it's an awesome match. And they put falling steel at long distance, and they just run guys out there on ATVs after every shooter and reset stages in 5 minutes. I mean,
their range officers are not as heavy as our range officers, I think. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be inappropriate, but
yeah, I'll give you that.
That was just one of my observations from Norway. All right, let's move on to some shooting questions. Candice.
All right, this is going to take a while. All right, here's the first massive question. As someone who has come up with the stage designs on a weekly basis for an indoor USPSA match, I find myself spending a lot of mental energy pondering what makes a stage design good or bad. Obviously, it's subjective, but I tend to think there's such a thing as a good stage, but I struggle to clearly articulate what the criteria for it might be. Is it challenging? 50-yard headshots, mini poppers with no shoots behind them? But I don't think that would be a very good stage by itself. Well, the mini poppers sound pretty cool.
No.
Requires multiple skills, has shots of differing characteristics, offers multiple plausible ways to run and shoot it, poses a mental problem for the shooter to solve, originality. Oh, God, he just keeps going on.
About lots of things that are good, right?
Yes, many things that could be good. Like, can you differentiate GMs from C-class shooters? And can C and D-class shooters being frustrated without it being a hoser stage for better shooters? So he says maybe the answer is that a good stage is the one that's fun but doesn't really help the person who is trying to build a good or fun stage. It's like coaching that consists of advice to do gooder or telling an architect to build a more attractive building. It's not wrong, but it doesn't really do any work. Any thoughts on what the good and fun stages have that less good, not fun stages don't, or vice versa?
Why, yes. I would love to talk about this because this is something that I feel passionately about. So I think a lot of people talk about like what's the round count or what's the prize table like.
Three Gun seems to worry about the prize table.
Right. What I care about, what gets me hard is good stages. All right, that's what I'm into. I like stages. So I think having some sort of challenge is good. Now, like. I think the guy writing the question, when he says challenge, he's like 50-yard headshots. Is that like that's not really what I mean? A challenge in terms of like maybe having a tough lean or shooting one-handed, or sometimes some long shots. But it could
things
be
that would tempt you to make mistakes, right? Like crazy close things and then something far and
yeah,
you
like
might
distance
mess it up.
change-ups. It doesn't have to be stuff that's gonna tempt you to make mistakes. It's just gonna like test like technical shooting elements. Like that sort of challenge is good, and that can include shooting really close targets and moving targets. Just a lot of diverse shooting challenges. I like that stuff. That's good. I also like options. A really good test of that is if you see good shooters shooting the same stage different ways, that's a really good thing. That means that there's different viable options. Now, if you have a lot of different ways to shoot the stage, but all of them except for one are really dumb, then there's not really options there. You know, there has to be, you know, viable competitive options where you see like very good people choosing to do it differently. Like that's a good test of like, is there options? Options automatically means interesting because that means that you are deciding between different options. Okay? Some things that I really don't like is like an example of a bad stage would be 4 8-round target arrays where they, you know, set up ports and just like, yeah, you just shoot 8 rounds at like whatever close targets.
Little square targets.
Yeah, exactly. Like fuck that. That's not interesting. A bad thing is trying to induce penalties for making mistakes. So putting a mini popper at 25 yards, that is challenging and good. I like that. I mean, you don't have to do it for a whole stage, but like throwing one out there on a stage, that's interesting to me. Putting a no-shoot behind the mini popper so that if you miss it, you get fucked with a penalty, that's not fun to me. I don't like that. Right? You don't need to take targets and like hard cover or no-shoot the shit out of them to try and get people to get penalties. They're going to get penalties on their own. Like that sort of stuff is not fun. Okay? It doesn't really add to the challenge that much. It's not fun. I shot one match where they hard covered up to the A zone on either side of a target and then made it a fast swinger at 15 yards. That was not fun. I mean, I think maybe I was the only person on my squad who shot that target without a penalty, and it wasn't fun. There was nothing fun about it. It was just racking up penalties for people. Do not do again, please.
It's a survival stage. It's not a
well, for most people, it wasn't a matter of survival. They couldn't fucking hit it, period. Like,
just take 2 shots at it and run away. That's
what a lot of people did. They're like, I can't hit that. I'm going to get penalties. I mean, that's not fun. Like, that's not.
Shoot it and run away. That's what I would do. No, forget that.
I got 2 in the A zone because I decided to take 4 aimed shots at it. Like because it was fast enough and difficult enough. Like I need to shoot it that 4 times to be sure I don't get a penalty. That wasn't exactly fun for me, but that was the way for me to shoot it. Like, whatever. Right. Do not like those things. One other thing to point out, I think that match balance is really important. So I think if you're designing a stage, you've got to not just think in terms of the stage, but think in terms of the whole match. So having one 32-round, all the targets are 5 yards away hoser stage in a match, that's fine. I'm fine with that. If the whole match is like that, that's probably fucked up. You know, if you have a bunch of different elements worked into different stages, so you have a match that's got some diversity to it, I mean, I like that. Okay. One thing I also don't like is having a stage where it's difficult to figure out where all the stuff is located. Like targets are hidden and stuff. I don't think you need to do that. I think it can be really apparent where everything is, even if it's confusing to figure out how you'd want to go about it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like
yeah, a memory stage is cool. A haha, you didn't see the target stage kind of isn't.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean it's a fine line between is it fun and is it like annoying and shitty. Right?
Yeah, one of the rules we try to stick to is that you should be able to get your game plan together in the 2 minutes that you get for your walkthrough. If you can't come up with something that...
It's 2 minutes.
Whatever your walkthrough is.
That's awesome.
What is it at 3-gun matches?
It's usually 2 minutes.
Jesus Christ, 2 minutes for like a 600-round stage?
5 minutes. You're 5 minutes, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
6 rounds, 2 minutes.
If you can't get a game plan together in 5 minutes.
Well, but this is like 3-Gun Nation. All the targets are like right there.
I'm not talking 3-Gun Nation. I'm just talking in general. It's if a memory stage, you know, if you got to go through and there's a sea of targets out there that you can see through, you know, if you see 9 targets through one port, but to shoot to get 1 and 1. kind of thing. And you got to remember which ones you shot. Memory stages suck, but like I said,
Oh,
if you can't figure it out in 5 minutes, it's probably not a good stage.
all right.
All right, good. Do you have anything else to add to my extended commentary on what makes a good stage and who should be punched in the nuts for making bad stages?
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much nailed it. Like I said, stick to the 5 minute
Boom!
and then we always see a lot of guys at our local clubs, oh, we're going to slow down the fast guys by putting this really hard target out here and making it hard for them to shoot. Well, yeah, it's hard for us to shoot, but it's probably harder for you to shoot.
Slowing down the fast, like having your goal being to do something to the fast
Dick
guys
with
is
someone?
probably fucked up.
Yeah, I don't understand what the mentality is behind that one, but
Yeah. Candice, anything to add to what makes a good stage?
Yeah, basically, well, again, most of the stuff you said, I can't stand a match that's like all like hoser crap or all like the same array 50 times. It's like, man, that sure is fun. But this guy's an indoor match director guy, so I mean that's the interesting thing is that's
No, you can still have good
changes
stages
things a bit.
indoors. You can still have good stages indoors. And actually, one other thing I'll point out, I was building a stage the other day, and a guy at the club walked up to me as I'm building a stage, just like a bullshit like demonstration stage where I like throw it all together and like I just build sort of a generic-ish stage with a few choices and a few different shooting positions, that sort of thing. And I'm putting out targets and walls, and the guy watching me is just watching me do this seemingly at random. And he's like, "Hey, what is it you're trying to make the shooter do?" And that was like a really interesting question to me because I don't think about it when I build the stage. I don't think about that at all. I'm not like trying to dictate what I want the person to do. I just kind of build a bunch of shit that, different target distances and difficulties and a few different places to shoot from. And if you can see one target from a few different spots or whatever, like I don't really give a shit as long as the stage forces you to move around some. Like, I don't know. I don't think about it in terms of what I'm trying to force them to do. I just want to set up a bunch of interesting shooting challenges. That's the way I think about it.
So what makes a good 3-gun stage? I mean, I always wonder because they all look the same to me. Sorry.
I can tell you what makes bad 3-gun stages.
Boom!
Same thing. We tend to use a lot more props in 3-guns, so cars and old helicopters and goofy things. But just keep it interesting. Shooting out of cars is fun. Shooting through cars and other things is fun. Making them fast, give it a combination of some close hoser stuff, but then throw in some distance. But don't make it like the same thing. Don't make it to where you punish somebody for missing. A lot of the extended distance targets, they have enhanced penalties. So normal.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's to force you to engage them, though, right?
Force you to shoot that target. So a normal miss on a steal is plus 10 seconds to your score, which is huge. The time penalty scoring is brutal compared to Comstock scoring. So plus 10 for missing a steal. But if that target is out at say 300 yards and they tag it as an extended penalty or enhanced penalty target, they can make it up to 20 or 30 seconds for missing that target. So now it takes you, say, if you just throw a shot at it, now you just added 30 seconds to your time, and something like that. That's impossible to come back from, and especially if it's a cumulative time match where they just score straight overall time like 3-Gun Nation. You're just done. You can't get back from that.
All right. So just slinging lead at distant targets, bad strategy.
Bad strategy, but then it's also, they throw it out there. There's one target out there. There isn't like 4 or 5 out there. So there's no, the thing is that if you're going to make somebody shoot, give them something to shoot at other than one target. Don't just put one target out there and then, F somebody over for missing it. But then keep it simple. 40-round shotgun stages where you have to run like total 100, 40, 50-round shotgun stages where you got to run 100 yards is kind of ridiculous. A lot of people can't do that. Shoot 40 rounds and run 100 yards. It's just, silly.
I dig on that.
Yeah, plus you can't carry that much ammo on you. Shotgun ammo is bulky, it's heavy, it's...
Yeah, so you don't want to carry shotgun ammo. I dig.
Nobody wants to load a shotgun.
All the 3-gun shooters are sitting at home. You're too old.
Yeah.
Fuck you. You're old.
I'm sure I'll get lots of shit for this one.
Yeah, you probably will.
I hope
Nobody watches this anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much. All right, Candice, let's move on to the next question.
All right, so next question is, okay, hi Ben, I'm an A-class limited shooter pushing hard to improve. When you were first progressing in USPSA, how did your practice change as you went from the lower levels of the sport to the higher levels? Did you work the same things when going from C to B class as you did from Master to Grandmaster? Is the difference a level of intensity, or did you take a different approach to practice once you mastered some of the basic skills?
Well, for me, as I improved, as I got better, I started doing less, I would say, like straightforward stuff, like drawing and shooting and reloading and distance shooting, like stuff that, you have a really simple basis for figuring out what's good and what's bad. Candice, what the fuck?
Oh, sorry.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Inconsiderate is what you are.
Oh.
All right, so anyway, as I got better, I did less of that, and I did more like scenario-based practice, more stage setup sort of stuff to kind of work on stringing a bunch of skills together and doing better that way. That's how it went for me. How about you, Chris?
Completely opposite. I actually stopped trying and just focused more on having fun when I was shooting. And I'm only a master USPSA. I'm not a grandmaster or anything. But
in limited or what? Open?
Limited and production, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I just actually started going out and shooting and, trying to have more fun at it. I actually practice less. I don't really dry fire at home or anything like that. So just go out and shoot and goof around. If I need to work on something, I'll take a 22 pistol out and shoot plate rack at 100 yards. And
what?
Goof around, things like that.
Is that preparing you for the sandbox? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
What is a 22 pistol at 100-yard plate rank? That sounds...
Yeah, I shoot a 22 at 100 yards. Like, fuck y'all. Like, what?
Yeah, man. Hey, it's
I love it.
Fun.
But it has a dot on it, right? So.
No, it's iron sights.
Oh, damn.
I'm a
baller, dude.
Genuinely impressed. Well done, sir.
I don't hit it all the time, but 50 yards is kind of my normal thing. But
Jesus.
It's something different. It's not go out and stand and shoot and draw and do bill drills all day long. And I did a bill drill in 1.5 seconds. And
that's good though, right?
It's good. It's great. There's nothing against progress, and a lot of people do that, and they're badasses. But for me, it's just more. That seems more like work to me than having fun. My draw sucks. I'm at best like a 1.2 second draw kind of thing.
Well, what is that, like 25 yards, or is that under the 100-yard plate rack?
That's like, can you count?
like 5 feet. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's good enough to be national champ. Well done.
Well done, sir. I love it.
You don't need fast draws and multi-gun. So.
Oh, well. Dude, man. All right. Candice, anything to add to that?
Yeah, it sounds like block versus random practice to me. It sounds like you started with block practice and moved on to random practice. Yep.
Is that bad?
No, it's great. That's kind of what's given me my gains too. Is varied scenarios, varied up.
Well, what I will say is when I was starting, the block practice was like mentally demanding enough that it didn't.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't.
It still is for me. So I'm not saying I'm past it.
Candice, some days you got to practice tying your Solomons,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That can be kind of hard. I've walked around without them tied.
Jesus. All right, well, that's great. That's going to do it for us today. If you want to get in touch with Candice, YouTube channel, right, Candice?
Yeah, YouTube. YouTube will work.
Find her on YouTube, comment on there. She actually does engage with people on the comments, which is something I've said you should never do, but she does. She does. Chris, where can we find you online?
I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
Sechiatano, Facebook.
Facebook.
I'll be sure to spell your name right in the YouTube so people can find you.
Yeah,
dude, your name is like ridiculous. Spell that shit.
Isn't? Everybody
It
can say
doesn't sound like.
Schwarzenegger,
It doesn't
but
look like Sechiatano. Whatever.
You can't even do it.
I can't say it.
All right, and thank you for joining us, Chris, by the way. We do appreciate it, giving us some insight into the three-gun world. If you want to get in touch with me, go to bensteger.com or benstegerproshop.com. One of those two places you can find me. So great. That'll do it for us.